Donald Glover has always been one of my favorite artists. Back when I was a kid, I loved him on Community and later discovered he was a writer on one of my other favorite shows, 30 Rock. I knew he made music, but outside of a few specific songs like Freaks and Geeks and Bonfire, I was always disappointed that they weren't really very good. But that changed in 2013 when Childish Gambino dropped Because the Internet, which in my opinion is one of the 5 best albums of the decade and maybe the best work of art. And that distinction has to be made because BTI is more than an album. Glover even said as much in an interview with Power 105.
Gotta build a bigger world. I'm not gonna make an album, I'm gonna make like an album, I'm gonna make the rollout dope, I'm gonna make the movie with it dope, I'm gonna make everything dope, I'm gonna make a world.
The rollout to the album was complex and included Instagram posts, short films, a screenplay, cryptic references to Roscoe's wetsuit, and secret live shows. All of that is why the short intro track is called The Library. A library is just a collection of information, so the intro isn't that song, it's all the homework Gambino rolled out before the actual album dropped. Part of the reason Gambino released the album in this way was in reaction to how the internet drives people to consume music.
An album, you can just rip it. It's there's like 11 good songs. Like, this is good, I'll rip it, listen to it, and not care about it a week later.
But it was also to introduce the major themes of the album, which is mainly about identity and the internet age. So of course he's going to take advantage of all the different sorts of media that the internet allows you to share. The Instagram notes and the conversation surrounding them were the first part of this multimedia project to really address how the internet shapes what we reveal to the world and what we keep private. Glover was able to extend on this through all of the interviews and the conversation that surrounded those notes.
Everybody stunts on Instagram. Everybody stunts all the time. Nobody shows like their buddy's funeral.
Nobody wants to feel vulnerable.
Nobody wants to be vulnerable. People thought I was crazy because I was honest. Mm-hmm. That was it.
A lot of the rest of the library focuses on how the internet dictates the meaning we put into different things and how that reflects our identity. The short film Clapping for the Wrong Reasons features a string of inexplicable events and visually pulses with themes regarding isolation. A second short film, released months later called Chicken and Futility, features a story that Glover's character The Boy tells about how moths often fly towards the wrong light, thinking that's what they're supposed to do. When viewed together, these films are meant to show that we often read much more into life events than we should, leading to a futile search for meaning that isn't really there.
Like I said, sometimes you just can't explain things.
Thus, we're Clapping for the Wrong Reasons, which itself is a reference to Catcher in the Rye, a book with some similar themes. There's actually a lot of literary references to older works throughout the project that help prop up and deepen the themes, but we'll talk a little bit about that later. This is also echoed in the repeated references to Roscoe's wetsuit, first appearing on Glover's Twitter, then on billboards, and finally in the screenplay itself. The phrase is presented as if it's significant, but no significance is ever actually attached. It forces the audience to become the moth following the wrong light. All of this brings us to the actual start of the album, and if you weren't already convinced this thing's about identity and the internet, it literally starts off with an electronically distorted question. The entire album is focused on understanding this question, but there's a problem. People can only form their identities through their interactions with others. This is an idea that's highlighted in the middle of the album with the track No Exit. This song has a claustrophobia-inducing beat because it's based on a pretty claustrophobia-inducing play, which takes place in a single room, that room being hell. 3 people are in this room and they're expected to spend an eternity there. There's no real description in the play other than the fact that there are no mirrors. It was written by philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre, and it's about how identity is constructed through our interactions with others. One character even remarks,
"It's when I can't see myself, I begin to wonder if I really exist."
This is key to understanding the whole album. In fact, the reason that No Exit is the title of the song is so that we can have this frame of mind going into the beginning. It explains why tracks in the first few acts, if you didn't notice the track names have scene numbers, carry their 2 subplots. One is a descent into violence, and it's shown through songs like Crawl, Sweatpants, and World Star. This occurs because the boy is desperately seeking out connection on songs like The Worst Guys,
in the garage, I had a menage, I murdered the vibes, but afterwards it was awkward as fuck, cause I'm nervous as fuck, we cannot get it up.
Shadows,
Love me better, kiss me back, listen more, love me better, kiss me back, listen more.
and Oakland.
But I'm really not ready, girl, that's a problem, 'cause I'm way too scared to fall in.
But he fails to make those connections, culminating in 3005, which has the saddest line on the album.
No matter what you say, what you do, when I'm alone, I'd rather be with you. And for these other niggas, I'll be right by your side. 2-3005, hold up.
The immediate interpretation of that might be that that's a sweet sentiment, but really it reveals deep loneliness. No matter what that person does, the boy won't leave because he needs that genuine connection, not only for its own sake, but so he can figure out who he is. Throughout the project, Gambino parallels having a rap persona with people having internet personas. Consistent references to Rick Ross in the screenplay back this up, since he used to be a parole officer, but his rap persona is a drug dealer. Now, these themes regarding how curated our digital personas are have been explored to death in all forms of media, but Gambino takes it a little further.
We are the dreams of our parents lost in the future who hide the deepest desires and wear a mask like a lucha. Door open. We were smoking in the hotel. The vapors went through the hallway. The manager pissed as hell. I mean, where's the line between Donnie G and Gambino?
If we create digital personas, if we withhold thoughts that we have and aspects of who we are we separating into two different people?
Tyler Durden, this burden hurt.
The reference to Tyler Durden, the literal leader of Fight Club, underscores how the internet can drive those who fail to know themselves to seek out violent behavior to feel something. Anything. The boy fails in these exploits in the screenplay, turns to life as a drug dealer, and then dies in the pool at his big house, like another classic American character. Ironically enough, Gambino answered these issues before the album even came out. The screenplay starts with the boy returning from camp, the title of Gambino's prior album. Camp ended with a spoken word passage which contains the line,
Make it all for everybody, always.
and if that wasn't enough, he makes sure to end the album in the same way that it started, signaling that to find the answer, we have to return to the beginning.